On to the Saturday slate. Houston projected to be a 3-point favorite at Baylor, one of the best teams in college basketball, and priced accordingly in the national title futures market. Cougars dominating Iowa State down the stretch on Monday night. Didn't cover because Iowa State hit a couple free throws in the final seconds and didn't foul down 8. So anybody with Houston -9 is probably still licking their wounds. But when you think about, I tweeted this out Monday night, man, how to beat Houston's no-middle defense or pack line defense. I mean, they pack you in the middle and they force you to hit shots from the outside. They also pressure the ball really well from around the arc. So it isn't easy to get off clean shots, but you have to be an elite shooting team. And Baylor, 9th highest effective field goal percentage in college basketball, 2nd highest three-point clip at around 40%. Houston allowing 26.3% three-point percentage on above the break threes. But when you look at corner threes per CBB analytics, it shoots up to 41%. And that's where it gets into the range of, okay, transition offense and dribble drive opportunities, because that's where those corner threes predominantly come from, which is what we saw with Creighton and UConn on Monday or Tuesday night, where the Blue Jays shot the lights out. And we'll touch on Creighton a little bit later on in the podcast. A big bounce back opportunity for UConn on Saturday night against Villanova. I think Dan Hurley, per his tweet, certainly feels the same way. But the issue for me would be Baylor, if you want to back the Bears, their interior defense allowing a 66.9% at the rim field goal percentage, which ranks in the 12th percentile. And that's where Houston can be dominant when it comes to generating second chance shots and finishing at the rim. And then also Langston Love, who is the 7th highest three-point percentage in college basketball at around 49%. He played against BYU on Tuesday in that loss, but still dealing with an ankle injury, so we don't know how effective he's going to be. I make this around Houston -1.5, -2, but just because of Baylor's, I mean, defensively, this is not the Baylor team we're used to, at least as of 2 or 3 years ago. They've taken a big step back at that end of the floor. So even though they might get some clean looks from three, especially in the corners, and be able to space out this Houston no-middle defense, I still worry about them being able to clean up on the defensive glass.
I worry there too. There's some worries, red flags for me with Baylor as well in terms of looking at their shooting performance. Both these teams, pretty interesting. I mean, like you said, Baylor, one of those, has a flamethrower right now, but their three-point percentage currently sitting around 40% for the team, expected to be a lot lower on the season. So some of those early season numbers in terms of their efficiency could be a little bit inflated. Their rim play has been really good in conference, shooting close to 59-60% at the rim right now. That's expected to be a lot lower from shot quality, but their defense is also expected to be a lot better. It's a really tough spot for me. I think I lean Houston. They've definitely been getting a little bit, honestly, lucky in the early season, but now we're seeing it. They haven't really been covering. Some of these lines are getting a little big. I tend to think that you can find yourself a good spot here in state rivalry between Baylor and Houston, a new one, right? I like Houston's ability to go in there. This is a really, really well-coached program. The turnovers forced for me is always such a big deal. Baylor could, find itself on the end of some of those kill shots that Houston is so effective at putting on, that their defense really fuels. So I lean Houston. I'd play it, up until basically a possession there. I'm pretty confident that they get this one done and cover.
And you brought up turnovers. Glad you did so. Baylor, 21 turnovers in that loss at Allen Fieldhouse against Kansas. And granted, Love didn't play in that game, but he's not really a primary ball handler. So Dennis and Nunn can be loose with the ball, which is a big issue against Houston's ball pressure.
Yep. It could be a big problem for sure. It could that could, lead to it being, a little deflating. And you can see sometimes in these big games, if there are a lot of turnovers, the crowd could get pretty deflated if Houston has a strong first half. So I don't know. This is a big test for Houston in a way of how are they going to deal with some of these, bigger teams. They're thinking tournament, right? Everything right now is dry runs for the tournament. They're feeling really good in the Big 12. Everyone was saying they wouldn't be able to do it. They look great. So now their eyes are definitely forward. I think they're in cruise control and they get it done.
Yeah, Haslam in line with your line of thinking with this game, making it around a 4-point spread. Houston 67.9, as you see on the screen. Baylor 63.7 is his projection.